Hello, boys and girls. This is Roxors, and I play games. And today we are playing Age of Sigmar Champions. And today is Theorycraft Thursday. For those of you who joined us last week, we did a Theorycraft Thursday. It was received very well. A lot of people seem to like the idea. For those of you that are new, on Theorycraft Thursday, what we try to do is theorize about either a specific card or a interaction of cards. Essentially what we're trying to do is to take a card that maybe doesn't see a lot of play. I've played a lot of games personally, you can see by my level, and maybe a lot of cards that I don't see used against me or index, or somebody from the community said, hey, Roxors, have you used this to success, or have you tried this interaction? And we'll try to showcase these here on Theorycraft Thursday. Last week we did Fantastic Beasts, which was an order deck that combined, I should say, the Lord Castellan utilization, but also added some wizardry, hence the Fantastic Beasts, to supplement the interaction, to add some mitigation, and that's the deck that you see right here. And we did really well with it, surprisingly. But on Theorycraft Thursday, we're trying to have fun, but we're also trying to be viable. We're also trying to be competitive. To me, at least, there's no point in just throwing together a bunch of cards and then seeing if it works. We try to... I try to give you an insight into how I construct decks myself and some of the thought behind picking cards. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Today we have an underlying theme of wizards. We are trying to play with wizards because nobody does. And I'd like to just test if there's some viability there. I'm not saying an all-wizard deck or anything like that, but utilizing them for more than just holding on to a Mystic Shield, So we're going to start with Chaos because it was one of my first original loves. I like the flavor of it. I like what a lot of the cards can do. So when we're talking Chaos Wizards, they've got a lot of them. A lot of people have shown that you can build a 4-wizard deck. I don't necessarily want to go that route. The one wizard I do want to focus on is Lord of Change. I keep on going back to it. I keep on reading the effect here. Increase the value of the last corner of highlighted spells by 1. So it doesn't say increase damage. It says increase the value. So then that leads me to think that we need to look at the spells and see where we can abuse that. Obviously, your mind goes to damage first, whether it's a 8-point lightning bolt or arcane bolt or 8-point searing firestorm, things like this. But then I thought, they have a lot of utility spells, and I thought that increasing that value would be kind of crazy. I looked at Rejoice and Slaughter, just getting 3 cards off of a removal just seems really crazy to me. Chaotic Restoration, that's 11 healing after, everything is said and done, and that just seems pretty crazy to me. The one card I did focus on is Infernal Gateway, for a few reasons. So, the part that I glazed over at first was remove a highlighted enemy unit, right? So it's a removal, which is great. It's not fast removal. People get the idea that, and I'll say death maybe plays this way, that removal is very reactive. So I play my Paladin Decimator, which is currently on an X, but eventually it's going to ramp up and deal you a bunch of damage. Great. I'll play a Black Knight, I'll hit you for 2 and remove it after it's already done me 1 damage. So you're removing the aspect of 5 damage. The thing I think where removal fails is when you're playing the boogeyman in the room and you're playing destruction. So you're playing something like your run-of-the-mill Brute Smashes. Comes into play, deals 2 damage. You go, oh, that's not good. I'm going to put my Black Knight down. Okay, well, next turn it rotates to do you another 2 damage. So it's done 4 damage already. Now, granted, you're stopping the idea that... There's my GPS yelling at me for some reason. For some reason, you're looking at... So anyway, back to my train of thought. You're stopping the stacking mechanism, which I think is great, but it's kind of already done what it's wanted to do, and that's not good. So maybe it's it's better, obviously, against something like the Scrappers, but they're still getting 2, maybe 4 if it's fully stacked damage off. Again, doesn't seem that good. So then it got me thinking about how we as players use... Let's see if it saved it. No, it did not. How we use removal. So now I'm starting to think of removal as, all right, what removal exists that still gives me some value without necessarily all the value being removal. So Black Knight removes and does 2 damage. Not super exciting to me. 2 damage isn't going to win me the game. I don't think, at least. So I'm looking at other removal options. Something like, and frankly, a lot of the death spells and units require removal to give you the value. Soul Feast removes and gains you 6 life, but you don't get 6 life if you don't remove. So dodging that removal or playing against Chaos that can self-remove just seems like that removal is very situational and poor. Maybe that's why Death has a lot of removal, is because it allows you to pick and choose what's going to work for the situation. So to get back on track, Infernal Gateway removes, right? But it also has a secondary very strong effect, and that's to deploy up to that many demons on either side of me. Now, if I put it on the Lord of Change, that 1 goes to a 2. So now I get to deploy a unit to both sides of me. And this inherently is kind of where I make a deck. So we've already talked about the fact that we want to play Lord of Change, right? He's a wizard. We naturally go to the spells. So now I really want to showcase Infernal Gateway. So to get back to removal and how it's changed my thought, now we've got preemptive removal. So very similar to how oh boy, I'm bad with names. The Order Paladin guy, 012, that stops deploying. I don't know why I can't think of that one. But that is it. We're kind of running that same game. So we can place this in front of a champion that doesn't have any units. And frankly, they're probably not going to want to play a unit into what's going to be removal. We're not playing this because we want to remove something. It's just an added effect. So now we're kind of shutting down a lane, if that makes sense. I can't really see, and again, if we're going to look at Destruction as the boogeyman, Destruction as who we're going to be playing most of, I can't see them wanting to play a Scrapper into this because it's X2. So now they play that. We rotate forward once. They do their 2 damage. They're not going to want to stack on it because we're going to remove next turn. And they've only done 2. And we're going to get 2 demons out of it. Anything that is 3 and up. They're not going to play a spider into this. They're not going to play the big beast that goes XX2-3 because it's just going to get removed. So now I'm thinking of removal as almost like preemptive removal. I don't see this as wasting a card because I'm obviously getting another value out of it. Throwing a Black Knight onto a lane, dealing 2 damage and then going away might seem like a waste to most people. But maybe it's not. Maybe the sheer amount of removal that Death has, maybe you just want to throw a Soul Feast on your guy and say, hey, guess what? You don't want to play anything into this lane because I'm going to gain 6 life and remove it. That shuts him down. If you've got threats elsewhere, that shuts him down on that lane. Combine that with a Terrify dormanting up another lane or a Mordant guy dormanting up in another lane, you've got more control. You're dictating a deck Destruction that wants to just throw guys around willy-nilly, and you're saying, oh yeah, you can do that, you just can't do it here and you can't do it here. Again, that seems like a very powerful effect, and it stops people from playing the way they want to play and more playing the way you want to play. So I challenge you guys playing Death, again, because it has a lot of removal, or anybody that has a lot of removal, try playing it more proactively. Put it down in a lane, and granted, something like a Frenzied Bargeist might not seem like a good idea, because it's 1 damage, you know? I mean, why are you just going to do 1 damage? But play your Black Knight on a corner. If it gets you a quest corner, you've progressed your game state. So that's okay. I guess, and the Frenzied Vargeist. You're progressing your game state. You're moving through your quests. Don't be so reactive and wait for them to play something so that you can remove it. Because you're going to probably take some damage in the process. And the incremental damage is what's going to kill you when Smash and Bash goes off. Or when you take 12 damage. You know, you're playing in a way that's allowing you to take, for that 12 damage to be lethal. So I challenge you guys to think of removal a little bit differently. But I digress. This is about Infernal Gateway. We're going to use it for that exact purpose. We're going to play it, and it's going to allow us to, and that's the biggest part, is that you can go through your deck. So I envision, turn rotates, you grab 2 demons out of your deck, and you still have 2 actions. You've essentially used what normally would take 2 actions to play 2 demons, and you've done it already, and you have 2 actions. So again, when I hear the complaints about Destruction's action cheating and this, that, and the other thing, and oh, they're going to play a card and draw 2 cards because they have 3 actions, you just did it. So I'm not saying don't complain, but I'm saying that maybe we have to be a little more creative and we have to think harder on how to get the same effect. And I think that's it. So I envision the beginning of the turn, this summoning 2 demons, and I can draw 2 cards because I put 2 threats on the board. Or even more, I put another spell on the board and draw a card. Or I fill up my board because I've done essentially 4 things this turn. So think about it that way, guys. So we're going to use Infernal Gateway. If we use Infernal Gateway, we obviously need some warriors to place these demons on. So now I'm going back to champions, and this gives you an insight into how I make decks. You notice I just started with 1 champion I wanted to look at. I looked at the cards that might be best used with said champion, and it led me down a rabbit hole. Obviously now I need warriors. It's not going to be an all-wizard deck. I need warriors to accept those demons. To me, it seems like the best bet for cost is either these guys, the Blood Reaver Chieftains, because they quest extremely quickly, or even something like a Scar. I like the idea that there's no actions, there's no removal. He's just damage unit, just wants to play guys. I don't know if we'll have the point cost for that. If I do like a Scar, and let's say the Blood Reaver, we've got 3 more points. We could do another Blood Reaver, and that's just a bunch of warriors. So then I go back to the idea that the spell is a 3-turn spell. If there's anything else, whether it's abilities or spells that I want to do with a wizard, I don't really have that option with 3 other warriors. So I think we'll take out, because if I take out the Blood Reaver, there's no wizards that cost 3. So we'll run the 2 Blood Reavers. I got 6 points left. If we're going to play demons, the obvious choice seems like a Gaunt Summoner. For 2 damage, you can bring a demon back from your graveyard. So sometimes you just need that last damage. Sometimes you revealed Unrivaled Battle Lust and you don't have anything on the board and you need to grab that pack of Bloodthirsters so that it can do some damage. So we're at 19, we're at 30 health. That seems like a good start. And now let's find some demons that we want to summon. The aforementioned pack of Bloodletters seems like a good start. They just come on the board and start doing damage. Slashing Screamers for their utility. Hurts us a little bit, but we have the ability to remove in front. That seems good. I do like Reckless Juggernauts. I see them as like a slightly weaker Arcane Bolt. And people just tend to have the reaction like, oh, I have to remove that. Because nobody just wants to take 6 damage, So we might be there with that. I could also see, again, if we're going to be playing against Destruction or maybe even a fast wizard or fast warrior chaos deck, I see Twisting Screamers being useful. I like how they do 3 corners. So, and you'll notice I put 3 of. I usually, unless I know that it's something that's kind of really niche, I usually put 3 of in a deck, at least to start. What this allows us to do, because of Infernal Gateway getting them from our deck, we can play less units. Because you can see this as having 2 units. Or maybe even just 1. We'll say 1. So right now, if I look at this, I'm kind of looking at, I've got 12 units already. The other demon I think I want to use, we don't want to use Fleshhounds because there's not going to be anything next to it that's going to proc it. I think Transmogrifying Flamer is a good option. It's 4 damage that you really can't get around because if you remove it, it's a good chance, because we're playing a bunch of demons, that it's just going to get replaced with more damage. It also seems good that I can get it back for more value. And like I said before, with the blessing of Unrivaled Battle Lust, for those of you guys that haven't been beaten in the face by it, it increases the damage of everything. So when you don't have something that does damage, it's bad. So we want to be able to get something that immediately does damage. And the Pack of Bloodletters and the Transmogrifying Flamer both have 1 in the first corner. So let's throw 3 of those in there. So we're at 15, about halfway done. I know we're going to need Blood Hunts. Or want Blood Hunts, I should say. And while we're at abilities, let's look to see, because we do have 2 wizards. I could see maybe some use for Blood of the Blood God, maybe as a 1-of, just in case I need to gain health. Because again, we're going to be not necessarily racing damage, but if we can outlast, that seems like a good idea. And with that being said, I kind of want to test, going back to spells, Chaotic Restoration. It seems like a really big threat, so it seems like somebody wants us not to gain 10 life eventually. And if that's such a threat, then that means our Infernal Gateway gets off. That means our other units don't get removed. So I'm going to go with 3 of on that. Because I can see Infernal Gateway on Lord of Change, and this hanging out in the corner, and I have a lot of digital copies. And our opponent kind of choosing, do I want him to bring out units, or do I want to remove all of his healing? So that seems like a good choice. You'll notice, you've probably seen a lot of my other videos about playing a couple threats. Not making it easy for your opponent to just say, oh, well, that's going to hurt, I'm just going to remove that. If you have a couple things on the table that don't seem like your opponent wants them, that's always good. Let's get back. I really think Gift of Change in a demon deck is just an obvious. After something's all said and done, our Slashing Screamers is on the last corner, Pack of Bloodletters on the last corner. This just gets another one and starts that whole process again. I see no reason not to play these. It also lets our wizards resolve their remove corner on their blessings. Something we always have to keep in mind. So let's go 3 of on that. The eye in the top left corner will give you kind of a quick synopsis here. We've got 6 abilities, 6 spells, 12 units. I know the Blood Reaver Chieftains need a ability corner. I don't want anything that clunky. They obviously can't use any wizard spells. I think it's between either like a Furious Strike or... You know what? Maybe just a Tactical Formation's the way to go, to be honest. Yeah. I can't see moving around, because we're going to kind of have a set lineup. Because, again, we want our Lord of Change to be the Zinch meat in the sandwich there between the 2 warriors. It sounded more of a Slanesh saying meat in a sandwich, but I digress. So maybe just a couple tactical formations. We'll start there. We've got 26 out of 30. Go back to spells. We do have some mitigation with the Screamers. I think maybe a couple Mystic Shields. won't do that bad. And now when I get toward the end of building a deck, I always make sure I've got a win condition. Because a lot of people think, I'll take a death deck, for example. I'm going to remove this, I'm going to remove that. They put all the removal in, and then they realize, I can't actually do enough damage to beat somebody. So we've got a lot of healing, which is great, but are we going to be able to beat anybody? We have enough recursion, I think, to bring units back to do that. I could see a situation where maybe we want like a summon demon on a wizard because we want to get back a pack of bloodletters or something like that. So maybe we'll throw that there. Again, that'll get increased to 2 damage with our Lord of Change. And I've always wanted to play Khorne's Chosen, especially with the Chieftain's heroic ability. That's just damage that you always have. So sometimes things that boost damage aren't very good if you don't have a good enough draw to have those things out. But the Chieftains aren't going anywhere. So worst case scenario, you get to that last corner, you got nothing on board, you can still pop 3 damage from one of your guys. And obviously the turn before. So I see this as always doing at least 6 damage. If you compare it to a unit, if you're valuing a unit that does 6 damage, you're like, that unit's pretty good, it does 6 damage. Pack of Bloodletters does 6 damage. So we're kind of on the same boat with this. I'll throw a 1-of in here just to test it, because I feel like I can't go down on any units, or maybe I could. Maybe I can lose, because I have the option to tutor, maybe I can lose 1 Twisting Screamer, because I can always find it if I really need it, and we have Mystic Shields. But then do I want to go up another Khorne's Chosen, because that's a 4-corner spell? Or do I want to do like another Summon Demon, which is a 1-corner? I'll do that. I'll do 1 more Summon Demon. Maybe we draw Khorne's Chosen, and it's bonkers for us, because I really see it like another Unrivaled Battle Lust. And oh, geez, God forbid if you have both of them out at the same time. So that being said, let's get back to Blessings and what's going to synergize well with this. Because we have some healing and some mitigation, I think Wanton Destruction would do well in here. So let's start with there. Unrivaled Battle Lust, obviously. Now, are we going to want removal? Like Outrageous Carnage? Maybe, in case we're getting, just getting too many units on the board for our opponents. I mean, we got Screamers, we got Blood Hunts, obviously. We got Infernal Gateways, which remove. Chaos Runeblade seems like an obvious choice, but then it doesn't synergize well with the heroics on our guys. So maybe, and with that being said, maybe we run Total Carnage, because this can show up underneath a Blood Reaver, and then that's just 4 damage anyway we slice it. So let's do that. Total Carnage. Tzeentch's Fortune increases the damage from spells by 4, which is huge. We just don't have a lot of damaging spells. If that was value and we get big heals, that would be sweet. Bathe in Blood, we don't do a lot of removing. We're not focused on that, I should say. Berserker Rage might help us in a pinch. Yeah, we'll try that. If we don't draw our healing or anything like that, it's kind of helps us in the end. And there you have it. I think we've got a deck here, folks. So, again, we're showcasing the Lord of Change. We've got some spicy spells and units in here. And I think we'll give it a spin. So, thanks for joining me in this live deck build. Last but not least, we need to give it a name. Got Lord of Change in here. It's Tzeentch. I don't know. We could just call it Tzeentch. So, Tzeentch. Oh, jeez. Am I going to be able to spell this? Tzeentch. Well, I can just look right. TZ. Yeah, exactly how you would think, right? TZEEN. Okay. I think I got it. TZEEN. Maybe I don't. Tzeentch. Theory, right? It's Theorycraft Thursday. I doubt I can fit it all. Yeah, we got it. All right. So there you go, guys. Next up, we'll give this its due diligence in casual and see how we do. And maybe we'll throw it into ranked if we do really well. Thanks for joining me on this live deck build. As always, if you've got any ideas for either future Theorycraft Thursdays or anything for that matter, feel free to leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And again, thanks for joining me on Theorycraft Thursday. And we'll see you soon with some gameplay videos on Zinch Theory. Roxers or Boxers. See you soon.